Hi, I'm Maddie Sloan and welcome to Snap Happy, the photography show. In today's episode, Darran Leal is soaking up all the culture in Buenos Aires. And Peter Eastway brings us another great post-production tip. But first, we're heading to the USA with Darran to meet a very special guest.
I met Russell Brown 20 years ago. He's the creative director at Adobe in the USA. He's a fantastic guy because he helps photographers learn about using tools like Lightroom and Photoshop. Not only that though, he's a forerunner into new techniques like using iPhones and other devices of that nature. Let's go and meet him now. So here we are, Russell. We're in the middle of nowhere. Where are we and why are we here?
This whole adventure might have started with you mentioning that you were coming to the US. And then I think to myself, what can you and I do? We thought of something boring like going to Yosemite, but then I called my good friend Carrick James. Carrick says, you've got to go beyond that. And then he'll send me these pictures. Peekaboo Canyon, have you ever been here? Or Canara Canyon, or Zebra Canyon. And I go, oh, crud, look at these places, they're amazing. Let's forget Yosemite, it's gonna be crowded this time of year. We are taking the opportunity here to capture some amazing photographs, and I personally am capturing photographs with only mobile devices. Phones and 360 cameras, something that doesn't require a backpack. That's what we're here for, it's all about photography.
So Russell, we were going to catch up a couple of days ago, but I got delayed by a hurricane. You had a fantastic day, I understand.
I'm what's called hyper. I have to be doing something all the time. So I quickly called up a friend in town, a performer, and I said, I'm looking for some female models, great looking. They've got dresses that are blowing in the breeze and the wind, and I want them standing on top of the fire wave there in the Valley of Fire. I told them I wanted this fashion shot. It looks like it's on Sunset Magazine, fashion in the desert. It was a really great moment. The sun was setting down over the mountains. The cross light across the rocks, because of the shape and the erosion to the rocks, just caught the lines across the rocks. It was gorgeous, fantastic. It was one of the most special moments. It's something that no one should ever miss, and you missed it.
I've been privileged to roam the Southwest for 40 years, and one of the greatest things has been to show friends and then people I've met through photography some of my favorite places. I mean, it just thrills me every time I get to do it, and this trip especially has been like that.
We're headed up the river to discover the Emerald Cave. Have you ever seen it before?
I have not.
It's apparently quite stunning. The light at 3 o'clock in the afternoon comes into the cave, bounces off the bottom of the cave and lights it up, and it flickers. What time is it now?
It's 1:45.
Let's get going.
Emerald Cave only opened up to the public in the mid-90s, and I was privileged then to stumble into it and shoot it for an Arizona Highways magazine feature, and actually named Emerald Cave. And it's just gotten more and more magical in the years since then. It's not easy to reach, and if you don't know it's there, you'll never find it. But that makes it all the more magical.
Here we are on the Mojave Lake. Now, since I'm right here in the middle of this lake, it means I'm not in Arizona and I'm not in Nevada. I'm nowhere. But we're about to enter the Emerald Cave. Now here I'm inside the Emerald Cave, shooting 360s. Had to go manual exposure because it's just so extreme, the outside and the inside lighting here. Shot some fisheye images with my phone. The secret to the Emerald Cave, I'm gonna tell the director to pan the camera to the ceiling. That's the Emerald Cave.
So Adobe is a big company. It's been around a long time, but I believe you go way back to the beginning.
I've been working at Adobe since the beginning of time. I'm employee number 38. Joined in 1985. If you do the math quickly, this is coming on my 35th year at Adobe.
There's myths and legends about this thing about Photoshop, Russell Brown, Adobe.
The rumors are true, and and I've been actually spreading additional rumors to give myself more fame. And the rumors are that it was me, personally, who inspired Adobe to purchase Photoshop and bring it into our collection of software. That's 1989. And so I became this Photoshop crazy character.
Mr. Photoshop, I believe.
Mr. Photoshop.
Yeah.
Let's make that clear. Yeah. You know, after development of Photoshop, things are becoming very, very mobile. And so I'm now shifting to promoting Photoshop on the iPad. So I shoot with a phone, process on an iPad, and that's what I travel with now, are those two devices.
A lot of people really love astrophotography, photographing the stars, but you require a moonless night. And I think many people are missing out on what can be as equally attractive as shooting the stars, and that's shooting by the light of the moon. Shooting by the light of the moon requires a longer exposure than normal, obviously. So you set to manual exposure mode, plan on an exposure from 4 seconds out to a minute. Aperture as wide as you can go, f4, f2.8, f5.6, but pretty wide so that lots of light is coming through the lens. And set the ISO. Now, it depends on how bright the moon is. If it's a full moon, maybe ISO 400 will be fast enough. If it's a half moon, maybe you need to push it up to ISO 3200. So just experiment. If you get your exposure right, a photograph by the light of the moon doesn't look that much different to the light of the sun. Let's take the photos back to the homestead, open them up and have a look. Look what happens when we increase the exposure over here in Lightroom. It's wonderful, but when using very wide angle lenses, we can end up with a little vignetting, and perhaps a little bit too strong in this case. Let's slide down to lens corrections and select the manual tab, come down to vignetting, and we want to use the opposite to the vignette. We want to lighten it up. And on this lens, I can go almost all the way, and that just gets rid of the darkness in the corners. Let's now just look at the exposure overall. I find it a little contrasty, so let's reduce the contrast down a little bit. That flattens things out. We might grab the highlights and darken them down. You'll see that's putting a little bit of detail back into the distance there. And we'll grab the shadows and we'll lighten those up just a fraction as well. Now we've got an evenness of tone, but the image is a little bit too light, so let's darken it back down. So you can see how with Lightroom and the basic panel, you really have a lot of control over the overall image. Now, how do we get the image to sing? Let's start by darkening down the sky and darkening down the foreground and leaving a strip of light in the middle. Grab the graduated brush, drag down. That's currently set to lighten, so we'll change it from lighten down to darken. And there you go, you see that sky is really starting to take shape. Sometimes people find the sky a little bit too blue, in which case you could also desaturate it just a little bit. And let's do the same on the foreground, but this time I'm going to use an adjustment brush and I'm going to come down underneath a little bit, so I'm sort of doing a little bit of a circle, and that sort of concentrates our vision looking that way. I'm going to just darken the exposure down a fraction more, come and grab my favourite adjustment brush and just put a straight line straight through the middle, lighten it up a little bit and maybe add a little bit of clarity in there as well, just to make that area pop. And there we have it. A nightscape with a difference. Quite ethereal, I think. Photography is all about capture and post-production. I'm Peter Eastway.
I'm here with Saul at the Murray Street Camera Electronics store, and we're about to go out and photograph some fast action motorsports. What gear do we need?
Oh, mate, we're going to have a lot of fun. I've got an awesome kit from Fuji with a big zoom lens. And then I've got a Sony kit with a massive prime lens. I'm going to go the double slinger strap and we'll see how the Fuji and Sony go with each other, and some nice fast memory cards.
Beautiful, let's go. So guys, where are we?
So this is Wanneroo Racetrack, Barbagallo Raceway. West Australian Sporting Car Club has very kindly donated us a car, not to keep forever, but a car and a driver. We're going to photograph that driver doing some laps around the track.
Hopefully get them doing between 2 and 250 k's an hour around the corners.
And we're going to start off in an elevated position so we can get some shots a bit different to the norm. So you'll see me all kitted up here with my double black rapid strap, double slim. I've got a 100 to 400 lens, but I've also got a 400 2.8 lens. Nice and bright, allows a very fast shutter speed for freezing the action. One thing you really do need is fast memory cards. I've got my trusty SanDisk, which is the best brand for memory cards, and it's the Extreme Pro, which is the ones you want to be using for extra speed. They accept a lot of fast recording to the memory card, allows me to go into my next shot quicker, faster, never miss a shot. Extreme Pro memory card has kept up with every shot. It's insane. Talking about settings, I took the tips from the Pro. Shoot in manual. You're often told about aperture priority, where you choose the aperture, or shutter priority, where you choose the shutter. In this situation, I tried manual for something different, had some fun. I also did cheat, I was a bit naughty. I did try shutter priority, got a bit nervous. I left the ISO on auto, so I didn't have to worry about the speed of the ISO in this environment, and we were getting a lot of change with light today from the sun, the clouds. Ideally, shooting with a lot of cloud is good because you've got a controlled lighting, but if it's mixed light today, having your ISO on auto is great. Using manual for the shutter and aperture was good. I could really play a lot with my panning. Use continuous or servo autofocus. Now that actually does chew a bit of battery, so if you're out here all day, make sure you've got some spare batteries with you with whatever system you're using. Continuous autofocus means you'll never lose focus. Single autofocus means you might half squeeze the button, it comes into autofocus, you've got to keep re-squeezing every time. When you're in continuous, you can leave the button half depressed and still get a nice panning, all in autofocus. We're going to do a shorter lens now, so I'm using the 100 to 400, and we're going to have our friend here whip around, give us some great shots. Go for it, Rob. So you're not always able to use scaffolding, but what we are is we're right up against the fence. I'm tall, I can lean over the top, but I'm standing on top of my photographic case. And here we go, we're coming around for one more shot. Lightning fast. I think it's too fast for me, but I tried my best. You should try it too.
To capture your own fast action sports images, head on over to the Camera Electronic website to find more inspiration and expert advice for all your photography needs.
We've left the wilds of Patagonia. What a stunning part of the trip we had. We're now in Buenos Aires and we're off on a tango shoot. It's one of my favourite things to do in this beautiful city. We've got professional models and we're going to photograph them in a street scene and the famous La Boca area. We've specially organised this. It doesn't happen generally, and if you're coming to Buenos Aires, I highly recommend it. For us, this is a great photographic opportunity. We're keeping it really simple, and we're actually using the doorway entrance to the market as our light source. Lovely soft light with a beautiful backdrop. So simple technique, 800 or 1600 ISO, aperture priority, and open your aperture up. If you've got a fast lens, 2.8 lens, you're going to shoot 2.8. And you can do a combination of the whole story, so wide angle, 24mm focal length, right through to around 100mm, 200mm, looking at portraits and that sort of thing. Many people come to Argentina for the nature and the wild side of things, but I love to mix it up and I highly recommend you to do the same. Consider doing something like a tango shoot as well. You'll have a lot of fun. We've arrived in La Boca, historically a fantastic part of Buenos Aires. It's a historical area where Italians arrived about 100 years ago. And for us here as photographers, a couple of different things to look at. One is just open street scenes, also looking at tight street shots where they've got beautiful colours.
Oh, I love La Boca. It's so colourful, graffiti and so much movement of people and the marketplace.
Sometimes you do a shoot and you attract a bit of attention, so we're trying not to do that, but we're in La Boca, a lot of tourists around. You might want to just make it a little exclusive zone by working in a location that's not a direct thoroughfare of people. So we've gone off to the corner and found this little spot, and have a look at the results. There's really cool photos here.
It really was fun. We went to amazing spots, finishing with a chance to even try our skills, haha.
We're on a mystery adventure this part of our tour. We're in a place just out of Buenos Aires, and here we've got some unique opportunities that I'm really looking forward to personally myself. One of my favourite birds to photograph is a kingfisher. 2 months ago I was photographing them in Chobe in Africa, a month later in India, and now we're here in Argentina photographing kingfishers as well. And try to photograph a bird this big in a moving boat, continuous focusing, long telephoto lens, aperture priority, and in this case we had to up our ISO. We were shooting 3200 ISO. If you're not getting great shots, don't be disheartened about it, keep at it. What I can say is in time you'll get some beautiful photographs. Getting that great result, it's so satisfying. Have a crack.
I've never really had that interest in birds and animals in the field, but Darran surprisingly has drawn that out in me, and I'm really interested in pursuing it more.
We've come to this location to photograph birds, and not just any bird, hummingbirds in particular. They're really difficult to photograph. I've got some great tips for you.
Hummingbirds, they are tiny. They are really, really tiny. And the noise that they generate from the flapping of their wings and the speed with which they move.
Hummingbirds are rarely shot in the wild. They're often shot in set locations. So Matt has set up a feeder for us, and this will help bring the birds to a specific location, which as photographers, we can optimise. One of the difficulties of photographing hummingbirds, or any bird generally, is lighting. And in this case, we've set it up in nice bright light, but we're doing something important, that is putting a gap between where we're going to photograph the bird and the background. By doing that, you drop the background out and you get a very neutral looking result. What I've suggested to everyone is to go with the feeder slightly in frame and the focusing set to the feeder. By doing that, we've got a point of reference. The bird comes in, you're ready, press the button, get the photograph. It's that simple. I said it's that simple. Have a look at some of the blurred results as well. Matt has set up a photograph for us with a flower, and the hummingbirds are coming in to feed on that flower, and we're getting the most stunning photographs.
I've got close-ups with really just the bird. I've got drinking nectar from some different flowers, some slow shutter speed work, as well as just trying to get one or two that are pin sharp.
In the world of nature photography, personally, I try to do as much as I can without influencing the animal or the opportunity. It's not the ideal situation all the time, but there's just some subject, there's no way that you could get a photograph otherwise. So I have an open mind to that, and as long as I'm not harming or hurting an animal, I think it's a great thing to do. Let's continue our secret mission through the southwest of the USA with Russell Brown. So Russell, I see in recent times you using mobile devices rather than DSLRs or mirrorless cameras. Do you have a lot of fun with that type of equipment, and what do you do?
I believe that I am having more fun than someone with a DSLR. They're fooling around with aperture and adjustments. I like the spontaneous automatic aspect of it. I can't carry a lot of stuff with me. I don't want to carry a lot of stuff. I want to be rapid, capture some really great photographs, process them, and post them. And this is what life is all about over 60. It's about how many likes you can get on Instagram within an hour. That's what it's all about.
A big part of this trip has been linking together a series of slot canyons, all of them completely distinct in character. Each one is kind of like a little sandstone cathedral, and trying to get that feeling into your images is, to me, the greatest challenge and satisfaction. I think Russell's done a great job with his images.
Wow, here we are in Kanab, Utah, an amazing place. And look what's behind me, a Hummer. We're headed into the desert. We're gonna travel to an amazing canyon, a slot canyon. We're gonna put on helmets with helmet cams. I'm looking for some more 360 shots, some more iPhone shots, wide angle stuff. It'll be a great day. Today I'm gonna shoot 360 inside here, and we've got the Moki steps apparently. And I'm gonna be the first one. I'm gonna catch a really high view of this with the 360 camera. Looks pretty cool.
I've seen snakes all throughout the Southwest. I've almost stepped on them a number of times. In slot canyons, while you're photographing, you just don't expect to run across a rattlesnake.
Whoa! We don't normally get wildlife like that. Here in the canyon, I guess I was pretty lucky on that one. So I got some quick shots with a super wide angle lens of it. And now you have to move fast, move quickly. In that case, I didn't have the chance to use any sort of adjustments to exposure. I went in, I just did automatic settings here on my phone and just tapped to get the exposure. But wow, you gotta be able to move quickly and rapidly to catch those moments. Pretty cool moment, wow.
This is their world, this is their home. So we try not to disturb them, but we also try not to let a photo moment go by, because he was a beauty.
Once you've taken your photograph, you're working in Lightroom, you're using it for Instagram. Are you printing a little as well, or anything like that?
My current workflow has nothing to do with printing. It's all about getting to social media. the tools available, the different software for special effects, techniques, adding in that sun flare. Yes, I cheat.
No, that's being creative.
That's being creative. That's the key, you said it. There's just this fast creativity with phones that I love. Essentially what I do for a living now is promote Adobe software through the software and the cameras.
Some of the slot canyons are really easy to walk into. They're just an amble in, you look around like Peekaboo outside Kanab. Zebra, no.
This is an exciting new adventure awaiting us. We're gonna wade through this water, get to the other side, and venture into Zebra Canyon, which is known for its really pronounced stripes across the rock.
The attractive part of the canyon, to get into it, you have to pay the price. You've got to wriggle in, sideways in cases, suck in your breath, carry your gear over your head, and just literally wriggle and wind your way through.
We made it. We escaped from this canyon. Let me tell you how narrow this canyon is. It goes narrow, narrow, and extra narrow. It was quite the challenge. This is more of an adventure than a photography moment, but definitely a photographic opportunity as well. I just happened to get in there and get some great shots. Really a great moment.
Photography is changing quite dramatically at the moment. Can you give us some insights as to where you think Adobe and photography are going to go?
I think where things are going, it's all about the cloud. I'm afraid that disk drive companies are going to be out and it's going to be everything in the cloud. I've already started backing up the photographs I've taken here to ensure that they're in the cloud. Capture with a phone, edit, going into the cloud. It's just really a fantastic workflow.
Dr. Brown, joining you in the field, taking photographs, it's been a great experience. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Snap Happy. If you'd like to join our community, head on over to snaphappytv.com. There you'll find exclusive content, competitions and special offers from our partners. Happy shooting.